Okay, we are now to our last part of the revision, which is under map reading. Okay, so I will be focusing on a few parts of map reading. Basically, we have already done this, but it's okay, we can always just do it again. So we are looking at 4-figure grid reference. Okay, and my favorite thing to draw is always just 4 squares. Okay, and I can just write 11, 12, 13, 65, 66, 67. Now, 4-figure grid reference of any object. Okay. For the keywords here is this thing called bottom and left. I think all of you are so bored of me talking about bottom and left, okay? So if I were to get the 4-figure grid reference for these 4 objects, okay, let's just see what bottom left means. Let's start with this, the diamond. So the bottom left would be this corner here. So bottom, I'll put 11. Left, I will put 66. Okay, so for the heart, bottom and left also 66. For the smiley, bottom left be 11, left 65. Triangle, bottom left, bottom first 12, then 65. Okay, so this is how you get 4-figure grid reference for map reading. Okay, I hope this is clear enough, so we can move on to next one, which would be direction. Okay, so all I'm just doing is teaching you all the hacks here, which I've already done in class, but we can always do it again. Okay, so what they like to ask about direction is they like to do things like state the direction of this from this. Okay, something along the lines of this. Okay, so when you see from, you underline from, and what it means is that you're gonna draw an arrow from the heart to the diamond. It could be from the police station to the post office. Okay, so you draw that arrow, and if you want to find out the directions, there are, I think, 8 directions if I'm not wrong. So I'm just gonna randomly draw out north, south, east and west, and then you always tell me this is what? Naughty elephant spray water, or whatever you can think of. So this is northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. So if you look, heart, okay, diamond from heart, it means that I have to point my arrow over, which means that the direction is just west. Okay, if I were to do state the direction of star from heart, no, from diamond. Now star from diamond, okay, from means I point diamond towards heart. Diamond towards star, what am I talking about? So from diamond to star, it is this angle, this direction, which is southeast. Okay, So this is the hack. Always remember to draw your arrow from something to the other thing. Okay, now moving on, we are going to do contours and landforms. Okay, just for revision purposes, we have already learned this before. Contours slash landforms. Okay, so contours can be just talking about the different lines on the landform. Okay, and it can look something like this. This could be 640, 600, and then 560. Okay, so 640, 600, and 560. Okay, these are the contours, and there's this thing called contour interval, whereby all these lines have a same distance or same height. So what it shows that the contour interval for this would be 40 meters. Okay, everything is always in meters, in case you've forgotten. Okay, now if you see something like 100, 80, 60, 40, the contour interval would be 20 meters. Okay. Just recapping all these from term 1 and term 2. Okay, now your contour lines can be closely spaced together, or they can be wide apart. Okay, so when they're closely spaced together, it usually means that it is more steep, whereas when they are widely spaced, it is more gentle. Okay, now what else do we have for contours? Yups, so we are talking about landforms now. So if anything that is higher than 600 meters, we have a mountain. Anything that is below 600, we have a hill. And then we also have our around is something like 20, 40, 60. If you see something like this, it is a valley. And if you have something like super huge and flat, say it is 600, okay, this could be a plateau. Yeah, I guess that is all for our contours and landforms. Now lastly, we are going to look at scale and straight line distance. Okay, so we look at scale first. Okay, because your straight line distance is very dependent on what your scale is. So what they like to do is they like to express the scale, right? They can tell you straight away, 1 cm represents 1 kilometer on the map. Okay, so that is a statement scale. However, they can also show it as a ratio, whereby they would do it like that. Yes, correct. So that is shown as a ratio. You can also be shown like that, 1:2 as a fraction. Okay, so these are different ways in which they can show the scale as. But the most common one you will see is this and this. Okay, now when you see a ratio kind of scale, what we are looking at is it could be 1:50,000. So remember I was teaching you all the big brain method of doing it. It's just how do you find out 1 cm represents how many kilometers? Is that you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you put the point there, and hence 1 cm will represent 0.5 kilometers. Okay, now this being said, you're supposed to find straight line distance. This is the one that you need calculator and ruler. So I have ruler here. What is it? Keep smile. Oh my god, the English. Okay, I'm just gonna draw a few random things. Okay, maybe I will draw heart shape, and then I will draw. Is it always going to be the same things that I draw? Then I draw a flower. A flower. Okay, maybe I draw a car. Okay, and I can draw just a normal rectangle. Okay, so the first thing you need to do when you are doing straight line distance is you have to identify the midpoint of all these pictures or whatever symbols they could be. So on your map it could be a square, it could be a bridge, it could be a house. Okay, so you just need to identify the midpoint. Okay, so I'm just gonna find this is the midpoint, this is the midpoint, this is the midpoint, this is the midpoint. Okay, then the next thing is I need to find out which are the two objects or symbols that I'm measuring the distance from. Okay, so say measure distance, okay, from midpoint to midpoint. Now for my example here, I'll probably take flower and heart shape. Okay, so what I do is I draw a line to connect these two together. So it's around 4.1 cm. Okay, so when I get the cm, right, usually over here we can plus minus 0.1 cm as the accuracy. So what I do is the third point, I will multiply them together. Okay, so what is the scale of this map? I realize I didn't say here, so let me just put it as 1:25,000 lah. Okay, so which means to say this one is 1 cm represents 0.25 km. Now for me to calculate, right, I multiply the ruler distance and the scale. It means to say I take 4.1 times 0.25. Okay, so the answer, you can use a calculator here, which is why I say you need to bring a calculator, times 0.25. The answer will be 1.025. Now what happens is I will make it 3 significant figures, so it can be 1.03 km. Okay, the same thing can be done if you take 4 times 0.25. Your answer will be 1 km. And if you take 4.2 times 0.25, your answer will be 1.05 km. Okay, so I accept this, this, and this. Okay, so that is for measuring straight line distance. Okay, last question. Not last question. Last thing that I want to talk about, right? So maybe let me just underline all the important parts. Okay, there's one more thing that the question like to ask, which could be the type of economic activity. Okay, now this is the part where you really have to look at the diagram. Okay, so it could be any type of agriculture. It could be also any type of industries. Okay, so you have to look at the diagram, which can tell you maybe this is a coconut plantation. Okay, and then maybe for the industry it could be a shoe factory, you never know. Okay, just randomly giving you examples. Okay, then remember for direction, sometimes the question they like to ask you the direction of the river. Okay, then you need to look at the contour lines. Maybe here is 500, here is 200. Then obviously the river is flowing southwest. Okay, then when they ask you for explanation, you say lah, over here is higher elevation. Yeah, or they can also ask you like, why wouldn't you want to build a house at Transect? Maybe this is AB versus CD. Where's a good place to build your house? Then you will say, of course I want to build at CD because it's a less steep slope and there wouldn't be landslides. Okay, and then for floods they can ask you question like, oh, why is this town prone to floods, or what type of floods can happen here? And if let's say this town area is near a river, that is near the sea, then obviously it is proximity to water bodies, you know, that kind of things. What kind of flood do you think it is? So if the house is next to the sea, then it's coastal flood. If it's next to the river, then it's river flood. Then if there's nothing around it, right, it's just concrete ground, right, then it will be flash flood lor. So that is all for map reading revision. I think I said a lot. It's like 17 minutes long. I don't know how many of you will actually watch this and listen to the whole thing, but good luck to y'all. So that is all for our